we are live. Wednesday night with those guys, and Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by
those guys. What's up?
So what's going on, everyone? What's going on? It is Wednesday, and Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by those guys. And I guess it is the middle of the week, right, Lawrence? It is hump day. Huh?
Yes, hump day.
Hump day. I hope everyone's been able to get out and fly. The weather's starting to get a little better here. We've had a little bit of wind, but today, tomorrow, it's cold, but the wind's calm. Get out and fly, guys.
Yeah. It'll be cold.
That's here in New York City, I can tell you for that. The wind will be calm. Yeah. So if you can, get out and fly. It'll be cold. You might need your gloves. You know, some of you got the pilot gloves. You can put your
if you got the wind gloves,
what you got to do.
The special tips. Yep. I'm ready.
All right. So you guys get out and fly, do your thing. But we got a little bit of stuff going on here tonight. We got special guests coming on and talk to us.
Yes.
With us. Yeah.
And I will be stepping away.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But we'll
at
be
some time. At some point I have to.
We will be here. You know, we're
right. So I hope you guys hang out and keep Herman and Billy company.
Yeah, we're expecting Billy to come in tonight. You know, Billy, you know, Lawrence actually got started doing the live streams before I did. And I was, his co-host on his live streams. And from there, Lawrence was like, you should start it. I was like, I really don't want to. and Lawrence was like, yeah, try it, go ahead, try it, you see, And when I first got started, believe it or not, Billy actually helped me out. Because Billy was on the fifth show that I ever did.
I think so. Well, somewhere it was early, very early.
The fifth show that I ever did, when I didn't know I didn't know what the hell I was doing. If I push a button and I lose a stream, that's how it was. And I think weren't we using Google Hangouts back then, right?
Yep, it was Google Hangouts back then. Roger, Canadian Drone Hub, all of us. Hey, Irvin Mitchell, what's up? How are you? Welcome to the stream.
Then he came back on later on, like the 102nd show.
Yeah, after you got some experience under your feet.
He was here 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? The first time you interviewed Billy was like 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
So you've been doing this. Wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah,
congratulations.
The first time we were flying with Billy.
I remember. We were damn near going to Philly every other weekend.
We'd fly with Billy.
Yep.
I mean, it was every other weekend, but you guys went out there more than I did.
I went out maybe about I maybe went out 2 or 3 times. I remember we went out there with Drone X Factor, Elliot Franco,
that's when he
Sebastian, who now lives in Australia.
That's when he taught us how to order the Philly cheesesteak.
Yes.
But yeah, but we'll talk about that when he comes in. But the one of the things that I wanted to mention, though, we had talked about this company before, and it's funny that they come up again because they we checked out some of their software, and it was real interesting. I kind of like it.
I still have an account with them. I can still sign in and play with the 3D model and everything.
It's simple. It's really simple to use. But they now have a new, they've launched a new situational awareness tool that'll allow their, you in real time, their tactical teams to, what they call it, to within a 3D model of an area, but you can actually monitor the tactical team in a 3D model of the area at the end just by their GPS location.
Right. So basically, they can go up and create this 3D map you see on the
Right,
screen.
they'll fly the area, they'll create the map, and once they create the map of the area or the model of the area, they are able to locate their GPS location within that structure, and they just look like dots on the structure, and they can see where they are in real time.
Hey, check this out.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad deal because, like you mentioned before, we got a chance to play around with hey everybody, what's up? We got a chance to play around with SkyBrowse, and we made a 3D model of the park, remember? And
Hey, man.
not knowing that software, we didn't know what was too high or too low, but we got it to work. And believe it or not, using them, my account is still active. I still have that data there that we did.
The only problem I have with it
Barkley.
is that it flies the orbits to get the footage, and if there's structures in the way,
Uh-huh.
it can't capture all of the territory that you need to get.
Yeah.
Right, whereas
You're
if it's flying a grid pattern, you could manipulate it.
Right. Remember, we had on the live stream, we gave out the link. They were giving a free sample. I think it was 15 days. SkyBrowse was
Well, at least
doing.
we don't know how to do it. If there's a
Well, we did. They did open up their software and allow you for 15 days to play around with the 3D modeling, but they weren't going to allow you to play with the mapping.
right,
So the
yeah.
3D, and the object of the 3D model is you would literally it circles the object 2 times. If this is your subject, it would circle it 1 time in tight, and then after it completed that revolution, it would back out and go higher or lower depending on what you picked, and then do a second loop, and then it would process the data. I do remember that. I still have them bookmarked, in fact. I'm like, yo, if they didn't get rid of me, why the hell would I,
Listen, they soon start charging you. Don't worry about it.
Shit. That's okay. But this tactical browse, as it shows in the video, they can fly the actual place. Hold on. I was supposed to pull it up first. I was supposed to pull up the video first. But it shows they only have 1 man, but they say by each man logging into their network, their browse network, they would show up as a ping
Little dot on the screen.
On the screen, right?
Yeah.
This is the officer signing in now. He's connecting, and they actually used the Phantom 4 to map this area. But once it's mapped,
whatever they was using on that controller,
right? You're right. Right.
It's just a video.
I know. You had to use the smart controller, but that letter B right there is actually the officer. So if you have 30 officers with this signed in through TacBrowse, which is what they call it, you can see where every operator is, and you have an actual live model of the place because it takes minutes for them to upload it.
Yeah, it's TacBrowse. And see, that's the officer, that little dot.
Yeah, where the B is.
Oh, that's what they would look like.
Yeah. So if you had 30 men with these on, you'd see 30 little dots going into rooms and clearing rooms and stuff like that. So kudos to SkyBrowse for adding that little feature. It seems like they're getting into law enforcement and stuff like that. God bless America. What's good, dude? How are you?
What's going on?
Warren,
You know
what's
what?
good, man?
You know what that looks like it's good for? You ever see that like what's that, NCIS?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get out this building and I'm trapped over here. Tell me how to get out. Okay, if you go out that door, right, and you go to the left and go to the end of the hall and make a right.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. But listen, guys, we have a special guest, Billy Kyle, coming on tonight. I have to step away due to prior obligations.
Oh, where you go?
I hope you guys hang out and keep Herman company tonight.
But Lawrence, listen to this though. You
Yeah.
forgot to say hello to everyone in the chat. I noticed you
Oh,
didn't.
well, no. I
Well, I
said
mean,
Gary just got here.
well,
Gary,
that's what you
what's
was
up,
waiting on,
Gary?
Gary.
What's up, Gary? Warren, God bless America. We have Matt Bagwell, Barkley 107, Johnny Drone Flyer.
God
Who
bless
else? Who's
America. What's
here?
going on? Hey, Gary.
Irvin Mitchell, SJM Drones, Logan Carpenter, Bill Coast to Coast was here,
Barclay.
and then we have the lurkers.
And
But
we
it's
got
still
Barclay.
early, so you know what's
And
up.
you know who we got actually coming in right now, right about now, Lawrence?
The man of the hour.
Oh yeah, he's coming to hang out with us, making his way to the stage. We got Billy Kyle, everyone.
Yeah, just hold
What's
on a
going on?
sec, guys.
What up?
How's it going?
We got you, but no video.
No camera view.
Click on your camera.
I gotta click that. Yep.
Yeah.
There we are. What up?
How's it going? How's it going there?
What's
Can you guys
good,
hear me?
man? Yeah.
Long time.
Long time no talk. How you been?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I'm doing my thing.
Love
Still
it.
here. I'm still here. Bobbing and weaving.
Hear that?
I see you doing big things over there.
Trying.
Yeah.
If that's trying, I'd hate to see if you when you put some effort.
I was saying to Lawrence earlier, I was like, when I first started this, you kind of came on and helped me out on was the fifth show. It was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, man, dude, it's been forever. I mean, I think about back to some of the first times we were up in New York flying or Jersey or wherever you want to say. I mean, I was just recently up there with Eddie flying and hitting all the same spots.
I got to get back out to Philly though.
Oh my God. Yeah. Look, I mean, I could fly around this city forever. I could never get tired of flying around here. There's so many great spots and it's a lot less congested than New York.
Oh,
I
definitely.
wish we could just fly like that in Manhattan. Just take off.
Yeah. I've had a couple of projects up there recently and it is a totally different animal flying in that city and anywhere around the area. People don't understand it until they actually have to do it. Really,
right.
I agree with you, Billy, because I see people diving mountains, all types of objects flying along the water. It's a different beast flying with buildings around you, GPS deprived environments, etc.
Yep. I was doing photos of a building on Park Avenue, aerial photos. And first of all, I had to get a COA, whatever. I had to go through all this stuff to actually, in order to be able to actually fly with one of my friends for a project. And just flying in the city, it's so nerve wracking that initial time. I mean, obviously you get used to it, but it's such a different beast that again, a lot of people probably they won't experience because luckily when we were flying, the people of the building gave us access to an elevated terrace. So we were able to get some pretty good signal. But if you try to take off from the ground, it's almost impossible just with GPS denial. I mean, everything. It's you won't get satellites. Even if you want to try and fly up to the 100 feet that DJI gives you, most of the buildings are that high. So you're still not going to get any sort of GPS connection.
Also, you forgot to add one thing, and you come from flying a Phantom, so you can relate to this. But when your drone goes into ADI mode, you better know how to fly that heifer, because if you don't, you're gonna lose it.
Yes, and it's crazy because you might think that it's not super windy in between the buildings, just because you have a lot of almost
because you're down on the ground.
Blockage, yeah, and you're down on the ground, but it'll take that sucker. If you're in ADI mode, it will start drifting there's nobody in control.
We trust me. We know.
Yeah, even flying in Philly. Even flying in Philly is nowhere near the same experience as flying in New York City.
Oh no, yeah, it's just this totally different thing. But it's the mere fact that you can even do it without even a problem.
Yep. Yeah, and the technology is getting
amazing.
better too. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
obviously like flying a Mavic 3 in a city is going to be way different than flying a Phantom, like you were mentioning.
True. That's true.
You
But
know,
Billy,
it's crazy some of the things that were done with Phantoms.
Yep. I mean, that was like the very first drone that, you know, was readily available in terms of buying it, taking it out of the box and going. Phantom
Yeah,
3, baby.
yeah. And by the time it got to the 4, ooh,
your, your, your
4 Pro.
buddy, your buddy Dan is messing with you, Billy.
Oh, I don't even look. Let me see. I gotta go and
Oh
look at
no,
the.
no. He says now, Billy, when are you going to shave those caterpillars? You
I mean,
know, somebody had.
That's his trademark.
I was born with them, so you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
Listen,
yeah.
Billy, I have to step away in about 15 minutes because of a
cool.
prior obligation,
No
but I
worries.
wanted to congratulate you on a few things. That
Sure.
car show you shot, I know, is going to be fire.
Yeah. Thank you.
At last I heard when I met you, you were still a single guy, you know, kind of chill. And didn't you get engaged?
No, God, I'm still single. Don't wish that on me yet. Don't wish that on me yet. Come on.
No. Oh no, wow. I thought you got engaged, bro.
No, God, no.
I thought you got engaged. Seriously.
Look, don't.
My
don't,
bad. I'm not starting any
That's
rumors.
a different show.
It's a lie. It's a different stream, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's a different show. So what else has been going on with you though, Billy?
Not much.
I mean, we haven't hung out in a minute.
Yeah, so you know, a lot of what I was doing was a lot of real estate photography. You know, just kind of you know, working with realtors and whatnot. But recently, a lot of the video work has picked up. So doing a lot of like social media videos for companies, brands, real estate agents, construction companies, which, you know, I think that people are starting to see the value in social media videos and how it can really transform their business. You know, to give you an example, I was working with this one guy. He has a mortgage company, and he made a video. You know, I go over there like monthly. We put together like 4 or 5 videos for him to post throughout the month. And he goes and he posts a video up on TikTok, and it gets 1.6 million views.
Good.
Right? Wow.
So it was a good video, right? He told a little story about, you know, a previous mortgage that he was in for his first home. And he ended up getting like, you know, 50 to 60 leads off of just that video, which, you know,
wow.
the 1.6 million views on TikTok isn't really necessarily how he's going to make money. Like, he's not going to monetize those views, but instead he's going to monetize his content by trying to get business. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of people kind of looking to use that same method to try and grow their business through videos, because you don't need to get hundreds of thousands of views to get, you know, one lead. You only need a couple thousand views to reach a couple thousand people to get some good business. So I think that's kind of what I've been doing recently.
Right.
Well,
that's good. You know,
I understand that because Herman had slowly conveyed that to me. He says there are 250 million people in the United States. You don't need all 250 million to like something. If 500,000, 100,000, whatever the number is, it's much.
well, it's well over that now.
Yeah. Hold on.
You getting pinged?
Yeah.
But yeah,
because I'm supposed to be running out the door like in 7, 8 minutes.
Well, before you roll, what's been up with you guys? What have you been up to?
Whoa. We're trying. We're really on the ground floor, getting off on the same type of business venture, and
nice.
Basically on really, we've done a couple of things. Nothing special. I did something for the news, and they've asked me to do something else, and I did something.
Yeah, New York One here is a popular local.
He does what do they call it? What do they call that paddle?
It's a summer show. It's surfing. Oh, paddle boarding, Hank.
Yeah, the
paddleboard contract.
Yeah,
something with him. So there's a few things.
What happened is funny, Billy, because the guy literally asked us to come. We were flying drones. I had been flying from his yard for years. I never met the owner of the guy. He has a paddleboard company. So me and Herman are flying. And he says, "Hey, you guys good with them things? And we're like, yeah, of course. And he says, well, New York One is coming to record me and my paddleboard company out here on the bay. Would you guys want to come back and record them recording me?
That's awesome.
So he's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, for real.
So that's how I got that, and then New York One got my information and all that stuff. So so it's working out here and there, but nothing really big.
But look, I mean,
Right,
look,
and
there's
then-
there's always a starting point, you know. I mean, you never
Well,
know.
see, we're making a lot of contacts because even Fox News, we have a contact of a drone pilot for Fox News. We met him out when we were taking some shots somewhere, and he actually, hey Dobo, what's good? He actually came, approached us, and we saw he had a drone box, and we exchanged numbers and contact. He's like, yo, Fox News doesn't have drone pilots. Here's my number. Take my number. Here, we exchange numbers and everything. So we're putting our hands in a lot of pots.
It's funny
Yeah, good.
that he said that, but it was the one thing, and I noticed in this area that a lot of people have asked me for it, and it's strange that they want it because I know that it's hard to do, but a lot of schools want footage from the games, the field
Yeah.
sports by drone.
So it's interesting, Herman. I mean, I know that you still coaching football.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure that game film is like everything to you guys, right? You probably have a whole
Yeah, I'm the end
system.
zone cameraman.
Yeah. So so last football season, I was actually helping out a friend filming games for a local high school, and
Right.
it is really impressive to see what type of stuff they have, going on in terms of, setups with like huddle and with
Yes, we have huddle
with-
system.
That's what they
Yeah,
use.
with-
Yeah.
with coaches up in the box and stuff like that. I mean, it's really, how long has that been a thing? I mean, has it been a thing for a while, or is it just something that's kind of new and up and coming?
As long as I've been doing it, it's been around. I've been about 10 years. I've been doing it.
Wow.
I've seen it since I've been,
Yeah.
I mean, the smaller schools may not do it, but all of the schools on our level, everyone's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really cool from a perspective of like, the parents and the kids kind of getting to capture that moment and being able to hold on to it. But also, of course, it's big for recruiting. And also
Right.
like, in real time, it's great. Like I'm sitting there filming and I'm up with the other coaches, and then I
Yeah.
can actually look over and I see that they're like looking at the video that I just shot, and they're able to rewind and look at plays,
Yep.
if-
Yes,
if there's a
that's
penalty or
exactly
something
what
like that.
happens.
Mhm.
So yeah, the
So they
the whole,
patched the drone into the huddle system.
no, so I wasn't using a drone. I just had a
Oh, okay.
tripod, center of the
I got you.
field,
Okay.
moving left and
Okay.
right. But it's funny because a while back for some summer tournaments
Mhm.
for lacrosse, I had taken out my drone and I had used it. But I feel like the camera does better. Like I feel like with how the drone is, it's almost hard to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like it's almost more of like a
I've used
novelty
it a
thing.
few times. I've used it a few times at camp, but they seem to like it. You know what it is? A lot of people, like you said before, want to improve their social media presence. And I think it helps these schools with recruitment when they improve their social media presence, because
Totally.
these kids are on social media from they're born now.
Yep.
Cool, Vic. What's good?
Well, so
Hey,
the
cool bit.
the issue with the drone, right, is mostly what I was trying to do is use it as a replacement for the camera on the sideline, because I didn't want to fly my drone directly over the game. Like I don't want to be
Right.
like,
We don't do that either. But
Yeah.
they give me a tripod, and if I don't have a tripod, I have an extension rod. How high does that go,
Mhm.
Herman? About 4 stories.
I don't know.
It feels not literally. It feels like it though. It probably goes up to about the 2.5 stories.
Above the top of the goalpost, it goes that tripod
Yeah,
thing goes up.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. But are you guys familiar with the PLL, the Premier Lacrosse League?
No.
No,
So-
I'm not.
So they used to have the MLL, which was the
Mhm.
which was Major League Lacrosse,
Right.
but it was really just a glorified like summer league for obviously adults that were really good, but like they were only getting paid like 15 grand to like play, all these games and whatever. And most of them, it was like a part-time job. Like they didn't practice and all this stuff. So the
Okay.
PLL comes along, was started by
Oh.
Paul Rabel. who is he's a very influential figure in the lacrosse community. So he started the PLL. Now all the players make like a minimum salary of like $70,000. There's endorsement deals, there's benefits and stuff. So it's really good for the players. But something that's really cool is because it's kind of like a startup league, they're using drones and they're literally flying the drones directly over the game. Like
Wow.
when they're in the offensive zone, they will have the drone positioned directly over center field, looking down at the offensive zone. And, it's a smaller league. So it's kind of like they can do what they want. Like they can make their own rules, but it's cool to see that it's being used.
Hey, real quick, Billy, real quick, Herman, somebody wanted to just acknowledge that say what's up to you, Billy. They were flying with us in Philly. It's cool, Bick. Says, hey, Billy, what's good? You'll know who it is when you read this. How's that pound cake out there?
I know exactly who it is.
Listen, I got to get out of here, though, guys. I'm sorry. I have other obligations, but now you know exactly who it is.
I know exactly who it is.
Okay. Listen, Billy, be well. We probably need to hit you up and ask you some questions, man. Definitely. But we have our hands in a lot of pots, though. Seriously.
Cool. Good. I'm happy to hear that.
We've been doing a lot.
Good.
Yeah, I've been busy.
All right. Listen, you guys stay safe. All right. I got to get out of here.
All right, Lawrence. I'll catch you later.
All right. Later, guys.
So you were saying before, what we were saying before about, like I said, everyone's looking to improve their social media presence.
Yeah,
I think a lot of these schools want to do the same thing.
Yep.
As well as have those shots for their recruitment. Because the drone captures a lot of stuff you never think you see.
Look, it's totally true. I mean, I think about it from a sense of filming sports. I feel like you'd almost want something that has some sort of optical zoom, because you don't want to be flying. I mean, professional games is one thing because they can kind of understand that it's going to be there. They know that it's all for the publicity and all that stuff. But when you get into like kids and stuff, that's a little bit tough.
Yeah. It was you're talking about professionals. Was the USFL did it? They were doing it?
You know what? They had like an FPV drone, like actually flying with the guys that they're running up and down the field. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy. And I see drones too, like outside of sports. I've seen and a lot of these are like music festivals that happen outside of the United States, but like I see these guys with FPV drones flying over the crowd. Right, they're flying over the crowd and then they come up towards the stage and they like almost fly up, and as they're flying up, the fire goes off. It's crazy.
Well, somebody buzzed the Guns N' Roses concert and they actually had a problem with it.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of distracted them. It was an article in Drone DJ and in a couple other publications online, and they were talking about how it distracted them at first. It's not, if it's not part of the show and you see this thing just come down in front of the stage and it might startle you too.
Yeah, you almost think that they'd be aware of that at first, though. You almost think that they'd like know that it's happening
if it's part of the show. But he said someone flew their drone in the concert.
Yep.
Yeah,
and today I was doing a video of the front of a property, and I was flying the drone down, and the Philly streets are super tight, but across the street from the home that I was filming, there was like a big open lot. So actually it was cool because I could fly the drone down and then like get closer to the front of the building, get level with the building. And there was a lady walking down the street. And as I came around the corner, she got all scared and like actually like got upset at me because like I'm flying this drone and like it's just one of those things where you kind of can't please anybody. You run into the typical Karen and like they just go off about you flying your drone, even though they have no merit.
Well, you know what I wanted to ask you about?
Yeah.
You had put out a video, right, that said, is the consumer drone market dying?
Is it? What do you think?
And well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because Lawrence and I talk about everything here that's going on in the unmanned world. And when you start getting into looking around and seeing what's happening on a day-to-day basis, and even from where we've come from since we've been doing this, I've been flying about maybe 6 years. And from where we've come from, we've watched a lot of things happen. Like, the FAA had, you know, when I started flying a drone, they had just started talking about Part 107.
Yeah.
You know, that just came into play. And you know, I remember the FAA had the IP program.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know,
Super old school.
yeah. So it's like you know, I'm looking at where everything is happening, and I wonder if the consumer market is dying because, like, we look at all of the consumer drones that the companies that were making consumer drones at the level of the type of drones that we fly, they're all now the blue UAS list,
Yep.
except for one company or two. Those Autel and DJI.
Yep. And it's funny that those are like the only two drones that are really worth flying, the companies that are worth flying, and they're not on it. And, you know, in one regard, it's breathing a little bit of life for these other companies that they have this classification and they're meeting the certification that the two larger companies can't meet. But, you know, when it comes down to times where you need to use a drone for search and rescue, I'd much rather use a DJI drone than like a Teal drone. You know what I mean? Like there's a huge difference between them.
Right.
You know, to kind of further help you understand where I was coming at with that video, and maybe the people watching, it's like, you know, you have a year like we just had in 2022 where DJI released like 10 drones, some consumer, some commercial. And you wonder if DJI can continue with that steam. Like, are they going to come out with another 10 drones this year? Personally, I feel like it's going to be a slower year for them, right? Just because they've had such a crazy year last year that it's almost hard for them to compete. It's hard for them to continue on that product line. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I think they could upgrade, and there's a lot of stuff that I think that they could come out with that's brand new. I mean, a couple things off the top of my head is like a Pocket 3 and Inspire 3. There's been pictures of like an FPV Pro, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of potential opportunity for them, but it's like, even at the current state right now, there's so many people that message me that say, I own the Mavic 2 and I don't think the Mavic 3 is worth the upgrade because the Mavic 2 is so good. So if that's the case, and we're already kind of at that plateau where people are thinking that the Mavic 2 is a good enough drone, what is the Mavic 4 going to do that is going to make people from the Mavic 3 want to upgrade, you know?
Right. And that is why I believe that the shelf life for the Phantom 4 Pro was the 6 years that it ran, because and it's still being used, and because where else can we go with it? Where else can we go?
Yeah. You know, look at it this way too, right? Like people probably didn't see the need. There's probably some people out there that were like, hey, I'm not going to buy the Mavic 2 because I own the original Mavic Pro. They didn't see it as a worthy upgrade. But then once the Mavic 3 comes out, they go, oh, well, look, this is a big jump in technology. Let me now upgrade my Mavic Pro to the Mavic 3, right? I think there's a lot of 2-generation upgraders out there, right? Like there's people that won't get the next version because it's not as much of a change, but you go 2 versions out, you start seeing the difference. So now I wonder if they come out with the Mavic 4, maybe a lot of people that own the Mavic 3 say, you know what? I love this drone. It's everything that I need. I don't need to go out and upgrade. But maybe the people that own the Mavic 2 are like, hey, this is now finally enough for me to go and actually want to make that upgrade. I think the biggest thing, though, is like drones to a lot of people are like a secondary piece of gear or a secondary piece of technology. Like a lot of the photographers and videographers I work with always think it's crazy that I own, you know, a bunch of drones. They're like, I just own one and I fly it like once a week. But, you know, I've built my business around flying drones. Like I fly drones each and every single day. So it makes sense to have multiple drones for, you know, different operations, different types of things you're doing, obviously backup drones just in case one goes down. But I think that it's just because it's like a secondary piece of gear for some people that they don't feel like, you know, they need to have the latest and greatest.
Right. Okay. No, you were saying?
I mean, also like when you think about like looking at CES and there was only Autel there, right? Like that's a horrible showing for drones. And I get that there's a lot of other like, you know, drone expos out there, but all of those expos are for the commercial drone industry. None of them are, there's not a consumer drone show, right? Like there's commercial UAV, commercials literally in the name. There's Airworks, which is, you know, commercial UAV, but basically just for DJI. And then you have, which is not even around anymore, you had Interdrone, which was also about commercial drones. So it's like we're trending towards the
Right.
commercialization of drones, is there
Yes.
going to be any room for consumers moving forward? You know?
Right, because I'll look at like the whole hobby, right? And I title the stream, what about the hobby, you know?
Mhm.
And I was like, I look at what's going on, everything since they've introduced, the whole Part 107, everything has been geared towards the commercialization of
Yeah.
flying drones. And I find that, with all of the drones that were put out there, we all been flying for years and, flying our drones for years, that I think like we were kind of like a little test of see
Yeah.
that it can be done. We know it can be done safely because look at the numbers.
Hmm.
The numbers say that these guys have been operating safely and they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yep. I mean,
You know,
I think the biggest elephant in the room is like regulation and rules from the FAA, right? Like, how is that going to impact things moving forward? Because
mhm,
I think that when you look at, it's so funny. We're just talking about the Premier Lacrosse League, and they just sent an email blast out. But when you look at the FAA and kind of like what they're doing in the space,
mhm,
I can't help but think that there's such a better way to integrate drones to make it easier and to
right,
kind of let drones reach their fullest potential.
mhm.
Because now something that I'm dealing with a lot and have been dealing with for the past 2 years is Biden flying into Philadelphia, right?
Yeah,
Like
too.
when yeah, and what he's flying in there, but the difference is he lives in Delaware, so he flies here like every weekend. Like he is coming into
Mm,
Philly or an airport down in Delaware almost on the weekly. So you've always got to be on the lookout for those TFRs, which, is no big deal. But when he does come in, and the fact that I can be like 30 miles outside of the city and I can't fly because of the TFR is
mhm,
utterly ridiculous. Like my drone can only fly up to 400 feet
mhm,
legally, right? And even if I was like directly next to the tarmac and I flew my drone to 400 feet, their plane would still land with no issue whatsoever. Like they are at like 800 feet, 1,000 feet by the time they're like coming down and landing on the tarmac. So I just think that like, when you really get in the weeds with those regulations and whatnot, it makes it so difficult to even want to try to fly drones for a lot
mhm.
of people. Now I'll go
Right.
through the trouble because I love it. But for that person that I said, right, that person that has a piece of that has a drone as like a secondary piece of gear,
Mhm.
it's too much for them to comprehend. And that's why when I'm talking to people and they're like, what drone should I buy? I'm like, look, buy the Mini 3. You don't have to register. You don't have to go through any of that. Just fly safe. Like that's the easiest way to put it.
And it's funny you say this because I've been saying to Lawrence for the longest time. I told him this a couple of years ago when they started hitting us with all kind of rules and regulations. I was like, you know what? Because I came from we seen the guys arguing about whether we were aircraft or whether we're not aircraft,
Yeah.
and they say that we have to fly within a certain confine. We can't fly here, we can't fly there, and I said it doesn't make sense to spend so much money on a drone and you can only fly in the park. And
Yep.
now I see, it's what, 5 years now later, we come full circle and they still want the drone hobbyists to fly. And now they're going to call, what is it? They're calling it now a FRIA.
What's that for? Like a small little dedicated area that you can fly in?
Yeah, like the like over at Calvert, how they have the airfield for the AMA fields. That's
Yeah.
that your community-based organization
Hmm.
get a field and they can have it designated as a FRIA.
Yeah. Personally for me, that just doesn't do it. Like the reason I like to fly my drones is to go somewhere to get the photos and videos. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the whole flying the drone part. Like it's fun to zip around, top speed of the drone, but like I see the drone as just like a different type of camera, like
Right.
for me,
Or
like,
two.
yeah, I mean, I get the joy out of like the photos and videos that come from the drone. I don't get the joy out of actually flying the drone.
Mhm.
Personally, that's why I prefer to fly GPS drones because I'm a photographer and videographer before I consider myself like a pilot. So, flying an FPV drone is a ton of fun, but like, I don't know, I like the video that comes from a GPS drone a lot better. Like it's more
Right.
stable, it's of a higher quality. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough because like cool if the people that enjoy flying drones just need somewhere to fly, it's nice for them to go to these like sites to fly drones at. But if
Mhm.
you're looking for like the city views or the mountain views, like that's not going to cut it. I'm not going to go to the same field every day and take pictures of the grass.
You're right. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, you were mentioning about rules and regulations. They've hit us, they hit the hobbyists with so many rules and regulations that would have to be met, especially to fly in a place like here in New York. It's ridiculous. So
Mhm.
it's like they've trying to like push people either to one local area, or they're trying to get the hobby to just kind of dwindle down a little.
Yeah,
And only, those who are really serious will still be out there. But when you talk about some of the drones that we have, going back to what you said before, what more do you need right
no,
now?
I do. I have a buddy that's just looking to get a drone because he's, starting photography, starting video, and he was asking me for a recommendation. I'm like, look, like if you really wanted to, I know somebody that's selling a Mavic Pro Platinum for pretty cheap. You could buy that and it'll do everything that you need to like get started. You know what I mean? Like someone that has never flown a drone before, if you give them the Mavic Pro Platinum, they're gonna love it. I mean, it's a great camera. It's got a great airframe, great platform, great transmission system. I mean, drones have been really good for a long time. And if you look at the past couple of upgrades, like the past couple of drones, they've been fairly incremental, like in terms of like the updates. Now, I love the incremental updates because like I'm always kind of pushing my gear to its limit. So if I can get a little bit more flexibility to fly for longer or take a higher resolution image, like I'm all about that. But that's not everybody, right? I mean, not everybody needs the latest and greatest.
What drone you think got the most incremental upgrades?
Well, I mean, I think the
Recent time.
smallest upgrade was probably Mavic Pro to Mavic Pro Platinum. I mean, if you can even consider that a second drone, I mean, really the only difference was the paint color. And then they gave us new propellers, but you could buy the new propellers to put on the old drone. So like, it wasn't even, I don't know what the point behind that was, but I guess probably like, if you look at it, the smallest incremental upgrade was probably Air 2 to Air 2S, probably. I mean, yeah, I would think so, because it was just a difference in camera and like 2 new obstacle avoidance sensors, like, and O3. Maybe, I mean, that is definitely a difference. Maybe another small difference was Phantom 4 Pro to version 2. Phantom 4 Pro to Phantom 4 Pro version 2. That was also a pretty small
I think
change.
the same change from the Air 2 to the Air 2 to 2S was the same change from the Phantom 4 to the
Pretty
Phantom
much.
4 Pro.
Yeah.
Because they changed the sensor size. They changed the sensor size on the camera and they put sensors on the drone.
And they also changed your transmission system because
the transmission system from
version 2 is OcuSync 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. It is pretty much the same exact incremental upgrade, which is crazy. But yeah, those are pretty small incremental upgrades. I don't know if you can consider, I mean, the Mavic 3 Classic is, that's a huge, that is a big example of the smallest little change. But I actually think it was a good change.
Whole new drone, right? Yeah.
I think it was a good change because I think it now makes the Mavic 3 Classic, like it makes it a viable option, because when you look at the pricing, and the Air 2S is $2,000, or I'm sorry, the Air 2S is $1,000, and the Mavic 3 was $2,050, you're talking about spending double the money for a drone that I don't really think was twice as good. Like, I still think you could get a lot out of the Air 2S. You could even save some money by buying a bunch of batteries for the Air 2S rather than the Mavic 3, because you're only spending like $119 as opposed to like $230, right? So big difference there. But the Mavic 3 Classic now makes it a lot more attainable for certain people, because $1,700 or $1,600 all in is a good price for a really good drone,
Yes, because I think they took it back so classic to like, that's what you were paying about 6 years ago for their premium drone.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy to me. It's crazy to me that they only cut the price by $500 they cut the price by $500 for only removing the camera. Like, are you telling me that zoom camera is really worth $500? I mean, I think that their margins are probably a little bit smaller on the Mavic 3 Classic as well.
What the markup?
Yeah. No, the markup could be pretty good too. But I also look at it as like them saying, hey, we've made enough of these Mavic 3 airframes now that we can sell it for cheaper, because they have eight different Mavic 3 drones now between commercial and consumer.
And all in the same airframe, just with a slightly different camera.
Yep, exactly. A different camera. I mean, the Mavic 3 airframe is a little bit different with like some ports and stuff, but regardless, it is basically the same exact technology
as the Enterprise and the multispectral and the thermal.
Yeah, they all have the same airframe. It's just a different payload.
Right.
but the that airframe has the mount for the attachments on the top. So the two screws has
Mhm.
the PSDK port, like the USB-C port on the top for interfacing. And
Mhm.
I think that's pretty. Oh, and then it has a top mounted LED as well. So there's like a couple of changes, but like that would probably take their engineers like a couple weeks to put together those changes. It's not like they're building
Yeah.
a brand new platform from the ground up.
Right. You could probably swap the back off of one of them, put on the other one.
You probably could. And quite frankly, I mean, I look at that and I wish that the regular Mavic 3s had a little like beacon on the top. I mean, that would be so helpful, just because like, flying at night now, you can use the bottom light, but then if you're like flying back towards yourself, that light is facing the opposite way. So you really can't see the light. You need like one on the top and the bottom. And if you want to fly at nighttime, you need to have, that light on your drone. And I hate using the third party lights. Like I just feel like you got to stick them on and sometimes they're not as bright. So like I like when it's just built right in because you can toggle it on and off right on the controller.
I actually have a piece of Velcro on the top of my drone just for that. So it's like whenever I just slap it on, there's one on the back of the what was that, the firehouse.
Yes, they're good.
I have the old ones with that looks like a little old battery.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I have those. So I just slap it on there and I'm good. It's all right. I mean,
yeah, no, look, they're good. They get the job done.
They get the job done. But I'm just worried that that one day that because I look at everything that's happening out there and I look, was this guy Deals Drones and
yeah
Osita LV.
Yep.
They put out all these leaks. I think that it's deliberate, but it's here because it's done in every market and everything.
Yep.
And I look at what's happening. I look at what the drones they talk about came out. You mentioned how many drones came out last year?
I can't even I don't even know. I couldn't even keep track.
I don't know if it was so many drones. I think it was more so that DJI had a new piece of equipment that they came out with last year. And like a week, every other week, every month. But last year, what was it? I know the Mini 3 Pro, right? Oh, that came out last year, right?
and
the Avata.
The Vada, the Mini 3, right? So the Mini 3 and the Mavic 3
Classic.
The Mavic 3 Classic. All the Mavic 3 Enterprise drones.
Drones.
There's like 4 of them or something crazy like that. It's so funny. I looked up DJI product releases because I wanted like a list of like all the previous releases. And it's so funny. I'm reading a link here that shows the what they're saying is the roadmap for releases in 2022, and they got it kind of wrong, like way wrong.
Yeah, they did.
They're talking about Inspire 3 in September. That never came out. FPV Mini, I guess you could consider that as the Avata. I don't know. Maybe you can. They talked about Pocket 3. Didn't get that. We did get the RS3 and RSC3. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, I guess, it seemed like they had a huge year last year, and you've just got to wonder, like, what else are they going to do this year? And I think the one drone that a lot of people are wondering is like, hey, is there going to be some sort of Mavic Air 3? But I think that's the Mavic 3 Classic, quite frankly.
Okay. I mean, you think, I mean, is there a need for an Air 3?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that we'll see a Mavic Air 3 because I think the Mavic 3 Classic is the Mavic Air 3. Like the only way that they can come out with the Mavic Air 3 is if they replace the Air 2S at that same price point, or they can maybe bump it up to $1,200. But if they go any higher than that, they're then going to be stepping on the toes of the Mavic 3 Classic,
Right. Yeah, because it's like, I had said that about the Mavic 3 Enterprise, and they proved me wrong. Like, where would you fit that in the price point? Because the what was that? The 2 was it the advanced? That was close within like a couple of thousand from your price point, beginning and ending from your the Matrice 30.
Yep. Yeah. I am so surprised at the price point of the Mavic 3 Thermal and the Mavic 3 Enterprise. Right. I mean, the The
So
Enterprise
is
is the price of the regular Mavic 3 standard. It's literally the
Mhm.
same exact price. And
Mhm.
then the thermal is like, what is it, like $7,000 or $8,000. But then, if you look at the the M30T, that's bumping up to $14,000. So I mean, it's priced very strategically. And yeah, I could have swore I thought that the Mavic 3 thermal would be over $10,000, but the fact that it came in as cheap as it did was so surprising.
It's funny because I saw a thing where they're talking about another Mavic 3 coming on later on this,
Really?
and yeah, one of those rumor lists, and everybody keeps saying, like, the Mavic 3, but it's not, it doesn't say Pro on it. And then the problem that I have with guys in this Pro thing is, you start talking Pro and keep talking Pro, and then DJI will put out a Mavic 3 and call it the Mavic 3 Pro. And then the guys that spent all that money on the Mavic 3 Cine will jump off the bridge.
Yeah. Let me tell you, that Mavic 3 Cine, in my opinion, just totally not worth the money. I mean, I understand the whole ProRes workflow and whatnot, but for $5,000, it's just not, it's not worth it to me. It's not. Really. I mean, I go and I could fly the Mavic 3 Classic, which is a quarter of the cost, and then I can fly the Mavic 3 Cine, and the footage looks exactly the same to me. Straight. I mean, there's barely a difference.
What's the difference? The ProRes. What's the difference?
Really, I mean, it's supposed to be for flexibility of editing, and you can like push the colors around more. But I took the same exact shots, H.265, H.264 ProRes, push the colors around and everything. You're getting basically the same amount of dynamic range, the same amount of ability to switch the colors and stuff like that.
Really?
So it's I don't know. I understand that some people need ProRes because it runs better on their computer. I can totally understand that, but I don't see it.
So, Billy, do you think in the next 2 or 3 years, talk about consumer drones? I've seen so much things going on here talking about, they've even already have an approval for a shuttle to go from Newark to the East River over here to Pier 6.
A drone shuttle?
Yeah.
Really?
They've already got that set up already between Archer Airline and United, to go to United Airlines from Manhattan, once everything is approved with the FAA.
Archer, is that like the four? One sec. Oh, look at that thing. That thing is crazy.
The Midnight, I think, is the
Yeah.
going to be. Yeah.
That is like one of the most badass looking aircraft I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's electric, huh?
Yeah. Talking about a 10-minute trip.
Yeah, it looks. Our goal is to deploy 6,000 aircraft by 2030. It has the United branding on the side. So does United own this company?
I don't think they own the company, but I believe they're working with them, because there's a bunch of these guys have been pushing for for regulatory to be finished and all of the testing and ready to go by the Olympic Games in 24.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I'm just like, we're gonna be riding and shit instead of flying it.
Yep. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I think it's a cool concept, but like we've seen how the FAA drags their feet on everything. Like that's gonna be tough to get that approved.
Well, I mean, they're getting all kind of a lot of these companies. I was looking at something at an interview with the CEO of their company, Archer.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that how they're working daily with the FAA, and like the FAA is basically spoon feeding it to them. And we do a lot of stories here on it, on how the FAA has been like slowly but surely, some of these companies, like it seems like every other week, every other month now, that somebody's passing this test, that test, the hover test to be able to transition flight. All these they're passing these tests, and some of them even got plans to for other companies to purchase certain amount of fleet for their fleet.
Oh wow.
And A few of them have gone public. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. We're gonna see what happens.
So Recovery
good.
Drone says somebody's head just exploded that purchased the M3 Cine. LOL. Yeah, I mean the one thing I like about the Mavic 3 Cine is the built-in SSD. I mean, like you could shoot a ton of video all day long, get home, dump it off in like the matter of seconds, and then just turn the drone off and put it away. So having that SSD is nice, but man, for that price, totally not worth it.
Well, how much time does it take to take it off of an SD card?
No, it doesn't. I mean, look, usually the first thing I do when I get home is plug the SD card in, drag all my photos and videos over, and then I go like grab a snack or something. Like just go kill your time doing something else, and by the time you come back, it'll all be moved over.
I mean, it doesn't take that long. I mean, depending on how much footage you got.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, there's so I can tell you, like doing the hyperlapses, that's the thing that chews up the most amount of memory or storage or whatever, because if you do a long hyperlapse, you've got 750 photographs there. That's about 32 gigs. So,
I had taken some shots of the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
Were out here and I did a little hyperlapse of it, and that was a lot of shots.
I'll tell you what,
go
ahead.
No, go ahead. What you saying? I was going to ask.
The process for hyperlapses is a lot. Like the editing there's a lot there.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. The editing.
Yes.
I got tons of footage.
So obviously it outputs a hyperlapse for you, right? But if you edit the photographs that come from the hyperlapse, you'll get much better flexibility over editing the image, So my workflow has been, capture the raw photographs. So if you're doing a hyperlapse that, let's say, is 20 seconds long, it takes 500 photos in order to get to 20 seconds. You're left with an MP4 file that is, the video that the app makes for you. And it's nice because it's stabilized and whatever. But again, if you shoot in RAW, capture the raw photographs, save those raw photographs, and then edit those, you're going to get much more flexibility in post. So my workflow when I'm doing hyperlapses is to capture the raw photos and then bring all those raw photos into Lightroom, edit them. I batch edit them, right? So I'll edit the first photograph. And because they're usually all the same, I mean, let's say you do a nighttime hyperlapse, you edit the first one and then copy and paste that all the way through. And chances are it's going to be perfect, right? Like you're going to have a good looking edit across because it's the same image. But the one issue is if you're doing, say, a sunset hyperlapse, your white balance might be completely screwed, because if you're going from the top to the bottom and you edit all these photos, it'll gradually get warmer, because if you use a white balance and copy it throughout, it's going to be warm. So I'll get into that in a second. But regardless, when you edit all the photographs, you export those, batch export them, right? Then you're left with 500 JPEGs. For me, this is where things can kind of be done a lot of separate ways, but I bring it into Final Cut Pro. I then bring it into my project and I bring every single photograph to that project, compound them as one clip, and retime that down to the amount of time that the original hyperlapse was. So if I said, hey, I've got a 20-second long hyperlapse, I'll go and I'll make this clip 20 seconds and then I export it, right? So now I've exported this clip and it's all of the JPEG photographs combined together, but it's not stabilized, right? It's all jumpy. Now, the reason I export it is because within Final Cut Pro, you can't stabilize a compound clip. So I need to export the compound clip and then import that compounded clip so that it looks at it as just a regular video file. Then I'll run a layer of stabilization on it. And sometimes that'll get the job done and I'm good and I can upload it. But there's other times where it's just all over the place. So I then bring it into After Effects to stabilize it in there, and then export it from After Effects and then bring it back into Final Cut Pro to run another layer of warp stabilizer, smooth things out, and then actually make my final hyperlapse. So there's a ton of these steps.
Okay. Wow.
Now, let's say you're in a situation where you're doing a day to night hyperlapse, where you're going at the blue hour, right? And the sun is setting. What I then do is I edit all of my photographs for my first photo, copy and paste throughout. And the final photos are going to be maybe too warm or too cool or whatever, but I'll export all of them out. And then I go and I edit the last photograph. and I edit it to make it look right, change the exposure, whatever. And then I copy and paste that all the way throughout and then export those photos. So I now have two sets of photographs. One is the photos that are edited for the beginning, and the other is the photos that are edited for the end. I then do the same exact process by bringing them, compounding them, bring them into Final Cut Pro, but then I keyframe it so that the opacity of each of them slowly fades away or slowly comes and appears, so that it'll seamlessly fade the white balance or the exposure or any changes I made in the edit. So that's a long process. Like the hyperlapses are fun because you can put the drone up, you press go, it does its thing, captures all your photos. But man, that back end editing piece, if you really want to get the most out of it and you're not just going to share the file that, you know, DJI makes for you in the Fly app, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I hope everybody got that.
Yeah,
down how to do that.
I did make a hyperlapse tutorial video a while ago. I should probably update that, but regardless, it does go through like my editing workflow and everything there if people are interested.
Yeah, I like your videos. You did that other one with the evolution of the Mavic 3.
Well, hey, so when did you get the Mavic 3? Did you get it when it came out, or did you get it? Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, big changes, right?
I like it. I mean, the sensor, the 4/3 sensor. I know camera, and I know that the bigger the eye, the better the camera can see, the better image quality can be. I mean, you can't beat it right now.
No, I mean, you know, I understand the complaints in the beginning when people were upset that it didn't have certain features. Definitely kind of annoying, but when you think about it, like how far it's come, now it's a fully feature packed drone, has everything that you need and then some, right? Like I think adding waypoints and nighttime video were like a little bonus add-on that I didn't think we'd ever get in the Mavic 3, you know?
Well, that the nighttime video, I think some people had some issues with it, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, look, I think it does great. I think that, you know, if we had even like a larger sensor in the future, that it would do better. But I don't know. I think that I feel like the size of the sensor that we have on the Mavic 3 for that specific airframe is like that's as big of a camera as you're going to get, because if you put anything else on there, it's just gonna weigh the drone down. Yeah, it's literally gonna tip over. That's why I'm like, man, I wonder if they could try to fit a full frame sensor onto a Phantom style body, you know?
It's possible. I just think that I thought that that's what they would have went with the well, we never saw it, but I thought that that's where they were going to go. I mean, we all know of that other company that did it, and whatever happened to them, X Dynamics?
I don't think they didn't have a full frame camera.
No, it was Micro Four Thirds, right?
Yes, but the Micro Four Thirds camera was that big drone had a similar camera to the little Mavic 3. Like there's no comparing them.
Yeah, and you know, does anyone have one?
I know that. Do you know Drone Supremacy? Mike, he lives over in, he lives somewhere in Europe. He lives overseas.
No,
he has one. One. He just recently actually got one, and he said it's his second time reviewing it. You know, I actually was watching Aldrin Flight Path's video, and he said that he was having some issues with his X Dynamics drone, and that he told them about the issues and that they tried to fix them, and it's still not in a good place. I know that Ken, I don't know, I saw him in the chat. I don't know if he's still in here.
Yeah, I know that from back then.
Yeah,
I'm saying in recent times, like I saw them, like I used to see them on Facebook all the time. There's the guy Eli that does a lot of the videos. Yeah, and he does. I saw a lot of their videos, and now I don't see anything.
Nope. Yeah, it's they still are doing it. I still follow them on Instagram. I see that they post a couple times a week. You know, they're still there, and they're still selling their drone, but I don't know how many they've sold. It can't be a lot. Can't be a lot of drones.
I don't know. I'm just curious to know. You know what's funny? I was actually going to get one. Okay. And I had put the deposit down, and I'm like, okay, waiting, and I'm 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 waiting, and then I hear about Mavic 3, and I'm like, okay. I'm going to get my money back.
Yep. So, you know, if you look here and you look at, they have two different Evolve 2 packages. They have the Evolve 2 RTF pack,
Mhm.
and then they have the Evolve 2 Cine pack
Sin
kit.
pack, yeah.
The RTF pack is $3,700 and the Cine pack kit is $4,900, right? So now you start comparing that to, let's say, the Mavic 3 Cine. It's kind of on par, right? It's actually $100 cheaper than the Mavic 3 Cine. But when you look at the price of the Mavic 3 Classic, I mean, you kind of take away all of those pro features like ProRes and all of that stuff, and you just want a great camera, a Micro Four Thirds camera. And you look at the Mavic 3 Classic at $1,600. I mean, it's a no-brainer which one you're going to go with.
The only thing that it does have over it is its ability to upgrade the payload and to its focal length and the interchangeable on the. And it's funny because it's been miserable here, and I've been trying to do some stuff with the Mini 3 and the Mavic 3, and been working with some anamorphic lenses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These lenses and the because they're wide angle stuff, and it's kind of hard with no sun and or unless you're using these anamorphic lenses at night.
Yep. I
Yeah.
totally agree. The anamorphic lenses are cool. I actually never really used them before. The one anamorphic lens that I got was from Moment, and they had, a good offering with their Moment or with their anamorphic lens. But I heard a lot of people having issues just with the balancing of it because you're putting a lot of weight onto a tiny camera,
Okay.
So
No, ones from Freewell are great. They're really light, even with the filter and on top of the lens, because you're
Yep.
removing the DJI lens and adding that one on.
Yep.
So they're pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And the wide angle lenses that they have now for the Mavic 3, the Mavic 3 Classic, whatever, they're cool. But I remember when the Mavic or when the wide angle first came out, I had a lot of issues with it, like a lot of fringing around the corners, wasn't as sharp. You couldn't use hyperlapse. There was just a lot of like little issues when you put the wide angle lens on it, but they have fixed it.
They did
They've added the
got
features.
a lot of upgrades with the Mavic 3, and that drone is what everybody was asking for now.
I know. And more. Again, I think that there's even more there. And I wonder if DJI will continue down the route of upgrading the drone through software updates, or if they are just going to have a Mavic 4 come out,
I kind of think that they're going to let it get a little shelf life, because we've reached a point where, like, how much can you get out of, how much more do you need? I mean, you're at the point where, like, I was telling Lawrence, everybody said, oh, we didn't get the Inspire 3. I'm like, honestly, who do you know is asking for it?
Yeah. I mean, I would love it because I'm a big tech nerd. But I think that the Inspire 2 is just showing its age, that an Inspire 3 needs to come out.
You think?
Yeah.
Is it showing its age in what way? Like with the is the transmission, or is it far as the way because it flies well, we know that, but as far as because I know there's situations that I can put the Mavic 3 in that I can't do with the Phantom because of the antenna system.
Yep. It runs on Lightbridge 2. Like Lightbridge 2 is like way old.
I also have the V2.
Yeah,
that's still on OcuSync 2.
Exactly. Yep.
And it's still only the 2 antennas.
Yeah.
Instead of as opposed to the 4.
In
certain distance, in certain areas, you start turning the drone, you notice that the signal hey, what happened there?
Yep. The Inspire 2 definitely needs an upgrade, though. I mean, again, I don't know who would buy it, but the Inspire 2 has been replaced by the Mavic 3 Cine. Like, people are buying that drone to use on production now because it's so good.
Right. And you don't need all those lenses.
Yeah, real. I mean, look, I would love it. I'd love to be able to fly a 50 millimeter, but I feel like they're almost going to be able to achieve that better, like they are on phones by giving us multiple cameras. I mean, we've already seen it, right? We've got the 7X telephoto camera on the
Right.
Mavic 3.
But are we gonna get like I suppose well, I'm expecting better image quality
Yep.
as opposed to getting bigger sensors right now.
So you think like say 5.2K, 6K, stuff like that?
Well, yes, and that and the actual okay, like when you start getting into the apples and oranges of what we have, like when we start looking at, say, like, as opposed to the 10-bit color and stuff like that, when you looked at the difference from we talk about increment upgrades, to me, the difference from the Phantom to the Mavic 2 when that one came out, I
Mhm.
didn't think it was that much of a difference to jump on that.
Yeah,
The difference in the image quality to uh the Mavic 3 was the reason to jump on that,
I agree.
and I think that as we go on, I think the drones might have, instead of getting a bigger sensor, a bigger camera, you might have better image quality out of the same size sensor, like how we have now with like the Air 2S is a 1-inch sensor. It's not the camera that's on your Phantom that you have all Apple control and all that other stuff like that, but it still has a very good quality, image quality.
Yeah, I agree.
That's very competitive.
I see Matt here says that battery life is really the only advance they can make now without going to a bigger airframe to accommodate full frame cameras, which I agree.
Yes.
But there's also some other things I'd like to see. I mean, like I think that people might burn me at the stake for saying this, but like going and buying or getting what's it called? Getting vertical video.
Okay.
Vertical, like being able to rotate the camera vertically. I think that they need to take it and go from the mini and bring it up to the larger platforms.
Right. Instead of the technology trickling down.
Yep.
Bring that one up. I understand that. And that was what I was saying could be like one of the other things that would, if you did produce an Air 3, that would be one of the features I think would probably be on it if you could bring that tech up.
Mm-hmm. And
the vertical shooting.
The nerd in me says that also helps out a lot with the actual range of motion of the camera, because now you've got a different gimbal design that's more on the front of the drone rather than underneath of the drone, and you're able to look up and down more, or if you're flying in sport mode, it's not going to kick the camera down. So
I got you. And it also, you can see up better with it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of those little features that they can also add that will get people to want to upgrade, I think, but battery life is huge because I mean, I love the 47 minutes that I get in my Mini 3, advertised 47 minutes, 45 minutes you get in the Mavic 3. I mean, like you get some serious flight time out of those drones, but there are times where I wish I could fly longer, like doing a hyperlapse. I wish I could do a hyperlapse that's for longer in the air, right? So there are times where I do wish that I had, more flight time.
And I understand that, and I say the same thing, but I really feel that part of their thing is to get us to buy batteries.
Yeah, yeah, right. Have a short flight time, so we need to keep 30 batteries in our bag.
I mean, like seriously, like why would I sell you a drone? You only need 1 or 2 batteries.
Yeah, you're right.
All day with it.
You're right. I never thought about that.
I think so. I think that I don't think we'll ever get to like, for instance, like our drones can only go but so far.
Yep.
So I mean, the flying the thing with a battery that's going to last an hour. Are you really gonna?
Could you imagine a true hour flight time? Like not like, oh, hey, we have an advertised hour flight time, you get 50 minutes. Like they advertise an hour, 20 minutes, and you get a full hour. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, like you'd probably have one battery and go home with it, with half of it at one.
Yeah. I mean,
flying.
I think about, I think about when the Mavic 3 first came out and I flew that compared to like say my Air 2S or whatever. And I
Mhm.
remember seeing how slow the battery would drop. And I'm just like, this is insane.
Yes.
Now that I'm used to that, when I go and fly the Air 2S instead of the Mavic 3, I'm like, this battery life sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
It's called spoiled.
yep. Yeah. Look, the Mavic 3 has completely spoiled me. Like I made a video about how the Mini 3 is all you need because I agree with that. Like I think the Mini 3 Pro is good for anybody from professionals to hobbyists to, again, like anybody buying a drone. But the Mavic 3 has spoiled me so much to the point where I hate flying any other drone because the colors from that camera are so insanely good.
Yeah, it's like I said, the image quality compared to whatever else is out there is no comparison. How you feel about that new controller?
Which one? The little one? Yeah, I did a recent comparison and I kind of hate the range on it.
I like I told Lawrence, I'll fly the Mavic 3 on the RC Pro.
Yep.
I'll keep it on that.
So I was out in San Francisco and I was doing like an awesome hyperlapse around this bridge. And the issue with hyperlapses is when your drone disconnects from the controller, it stops the hyperlapse. So that's an issue because you can't just be like, oh, let me just like restart it from where it's at. You've got to restart the whole thing because if you had that small little jump, it's not going to look good. You know what I mean? Like you need to restart the entire hyperlapse if it disconnects. So I found it super annoying because I would be literally 1,500 feet away from my Mavic 3 Classic using that RC, the gray RC, and the drone would disconnect. And I'd have to start my hyperlapse over. And I'm like, what is going on? The biggest issue with that is like I was kind of on the cusp of the sun setting. So I only had a certain amount of time, like a certain window to capture this hyperlapse. It wasn't like I was just doing daytime or a nighttime hyperlapse. It was like I had a certain time. So that was really killing me, really screwing me.
I wonder why that happens because I know when I was out with Lawrence, he was having what is it? They said RC interference.
Yeah.
Coming up on his screen.
Well, I think it's just a matter of the antennas being built into the controller and not being external, you know?
Same ones like they did on the Phantom 3 standards.
Yeah.
Patch joints.
Yeah.
Fit right in the front.
Well, look, I love that little controller. Like I do. I think it's one of my favorite controllers that they've made. But the biggest issue is the range. Like if you can't get good range, what's the point of using it? That's why when people are buying, like my one buddy, he had a Mini 2, crashed his Mini 2, and I told him, I said, if you're gonna be buying a new drone and you buy the Mini 3, because that's what he went to go get, the Mini 3 Pro, I said, make sure you buy it with the RZN one because I really can't recommend that built-in screen for what a lot of people do.
No.
No, I mean the range is not as good as the regular RZN one.
Okay. That's strange because we all know that on the Mavic 3 that the the RC Pro has better range than
Oh, dude. But I barely even recommend that controller because I know that it's just like way overkill and too expensive for a lot of people. I mean, you're spending more money on a controller than you are on a drone. Now, if you're like you and I that are flying all the time, it's worth it. I like everything that it does, especially the range. It's great and the signal is great. But yeah, it's way overkill for most people.
I saw a video on YouTube where some guys they did a mod to their the new RC.
Yeah.
They put
with they put patch antennas on it, right?
They put these two big antennas on them. Like, yo, you just destroyed the whole control and took it apart.
Hey, got to do what you got to do for a good signal.
Listen, hey, I don't know. I'm not voiding the warranty. I'm just going to go get I'll just go get the other one.
Yep. Yeah, I love the RC Pro, and it is noticeably brighter.
I don't really notice it. I just fly. The only thing that I don't like with this thing, and I find myself flying with it up here sometimes.
Yeah.
Because of the antennas. Yeah, if you get caught behind some trees and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one thing it definitely lacks in is like penetration.
Doomed.
Yep, is the penetration. It's definitely not as good.
So what else is going on with you other than, the real estate and the all over the country?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of traveling, which has been fun. And I said it in my Mavic 3 Evolution video. Like I've enjoyed flying the Mavic 3 so much that I can't stop wanting to go to new places flying. Like it's so much fun. It's so much fun because that drone is so good and so versatile that like it gives me the best looking video ever. Like it is by and far the best video shooting drone that I have. Now photos, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the photos out of the Air 2S are comparable to like the Mavic 3. But the video is just on a completely different level.
Yeah, different.
I actually am I'm heading up to Canada
Okay.
at the end of February. I'm going to be working on a project with ABSS. They are they manufacture parachutes for drones. And so
Okay.
I'm going up there to help them film like a little documentary.
Mhm.
And I'm going up to Newfoundland, like it's called Labrador City. And hold on, let's
Oh,
see.
cold.
What is the temperature in Labrador City?
Extra
Right
cold.
now, it is negative 24 degrees in Labrador City.
Will the
Like,
parachute work?
yeah. Look, so this company is based out of Ottawa.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, this morning I actually checked what the temperature was in Ottawa, and it was 4 degrees. It was like very cold. And so the high temperature in Labrador City today is 0 degrees. That's the high. And the low temperature is negative 30 degrees. So
That's not good.
nah. So
You're gonna have to dress warm.
well, yeah, definitely gonna dress warm. I ordered some heated vests like to put underneath of my jacket. So they actually just got delivered. I got to go pick them up. But yeah, that'll come in handy. I can't wait to try flying my drone up there because I can't wait to see how the cold weather affects the drone and the drone batteries. Also, I'm going through the process of taking the test to get my certificate or whatever it's called up in Canada so I can fly my drone. Yeah. So it's a multiple choice test that I can take online to get the basic version of it, which just allows me to like fly like a drone for commercial purposes and whatever. But I definitely want to get that because the last time that I went to Canada, I didn't have my license and I was restricted to flying my Mini 3 Pro, which is a great drone. Like, don't get me wrong. I liked flying it, but I really want to be able to fly my Mavic 3. So,
well, let me ask you this about that. How with that process with them, how long is it good for?
you know what? I don't know. I just started doing the initial research with it. Let's see. I'll look up Canada drone license and find out some information.
Unless somebody is in the chat that's in Canada, would be able to answer that question.
Yeah. So they have for basic operations, it says you need to take an online exam. And looking at, the basic operations, it basically says if you meet all 5 of these conditions, you're conducting basic operations. If you fly it in uncontrolled airspace, fly it more than 100 feet horizontally from bystanders, never fly over bystanders. If you fly more than 3 nautical miles from a certified airport, and if you fly it more than 1 nautical mile from a certified heliport. So, if you're within all those, I guess if you meet those criteria, then that means that you're going to want to get the basic license. And then advanced license is if you want to fly in controlled airspace, if you want to fly over people, if you want to fly within 100 meters of people. So, if you really want to get more freedom, you want to take this advanced operations test, but you actually need to pass the small advanced exam, and then you need to pass a flight review. So you've actually got to do something in person, which this is nothing that I need to do for my time up there, but it'll be cool to kind of go through the process of trying to get the basic drone license.
Because I know someone else was telling me something about they had to take a practical or whatever else.
Yep. So that sounds like it's for the advanced.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see it. At least on here, I don't see anything. I'll say, how long does my Canadian drone license last? Oh, it doesn't expire. There's no expiration date.
Wow.
It says your pilot certificate does not expire, but you need to keep your skills up to date. And that was posted on June 14th of 2022. So recent. So that's a recent thing.
You got to keep your skills up to date.
Yeah, so you got to make sure you're flying every day. Flying every day so
Okay,
you
so
keep your skills sharp.
I guess it's a good thing to have then, because then if you're ever in Canada, you can fly without a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, the basic operations seems easy enough.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I want to be able to fly a larger drone than my Mini 3.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what's going on over here. I mean, we've just been doing our little thing here, and like I said, one of the biggest things that's come up, like I said before, was like the schools asking for drone footage and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
mainly, I'm trying to do some bigger things,
Yeah,
and
I love it.
we got to get out to Philly again and hang out.
Totally. Yeah. We got to wait till it's a little bit warmer though, so that,
Yeah,
so we can,
trust me. I don't
so we,
like flying in the cold either.
yeah. I mean, look, I love to fly from the car. I mean, that's like my thing, right? It's like during the cold days, I'm flying from my car, like almost all the time. Even on the hot days, I'll fly from my car and crank the AC. But it's tolerable to actually fly when it's hot outside because your hands aren't freezing cold.
Mhm. I've always been a little shy of doing that, flying from the car.
Yes. Cardoso says it's fairly easy test. You can Google the answers in another browser window as you go. Yeah. I mean, look, I wasn't gonna admit that, but it's a good idea. I mean, look, I think that the question should be fairly easy, especially after I actually just did my Part 107 research. So I know that it's a little bit different, but I do have some of that knowledge kind of embedded in my brain right now.
Mhm. Yeah, the Part 107, that was a hurdle.
Yeah. And you know what? Now it's nice that when you do the recertification, it's all online.
Online.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Because originally you'd have to go back to the airport and take it.
Well, here they have testing centers.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of different places.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I went to my local airport to take my initial Part 107 test.
Okay. We have a couple of places. There's one like 5 minutes from here, actually.
Nice.
And when I say 5 minutes in New York, it's New York traffic. It's like a couple of
15.
blocks from here.
15. Make it 15 minutes instead.
No. It's a 5 minute drive, but it's like in New York, when I say 5 minutes, it's like that's a couple of blocks over.
Yeah. You may as well just walk it at that point.
Oh man, who was in the chat? Oh, those media. Hey, Angie, I didn't even see you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Cardoso's giving me all the scoop about what I need to know for my basic exam.
Oh, okay. Is it? Okay. All right. So, you good? When are you going to be in Canada?
I head up there February 21st is when I'm going. And okay, so this is another crazy story about it. It is in such a remote location that in order to get a flight from Philadelphia directly into the little city that I'm going to, I looked on Kayak, right? Like Kayak is kind of just where I go to look for flights and find good prices and whatever. And they were saying that through Aer Lingus, which is like a third-party commercial private jet flying whatever, it was like $35,000 to fly directly in. Right. So I would have to charter like a $35,000 private jet to get into here. And I've been doing all this research about like how to get into this town, because at that point I'm like, all right, I'm driving. I'm just going to drive all the way up there. But there's so much snow up there and they don't maintain the roads that like it's almost impossible to drive like from like where I live in Philadelphia up to this city. So now I'm starting to do all this thinking. And the original plan was to drive to Ottawa. So I'm driving to Canada, and then I would fly from Ottawa over to Goose Valley, which is like a completely different airport. I'd fly over the city that I need to land in. I'd then need to trek back 6 hours across the main roads to get to this city. So it would be a matter of driving, flying, and then driving. But I actually found that from Montreal, you can fly directly into that city. So I'm going to drive to Montreal and then fly into the city. And it's like a $200 flight. So that works. Wayne is asking what town. It's Labrador City is the town. So Should be fun.
That's
Matt says chump change. Yeah, let me just go charter a $35,000
didn't-
flight.
I didn't know you could actually fly. I mean, drive there.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I did the drive to Ottawa during the summertime. It was pretty easy. It's like a 6-hour drive up there, so it's nothing too crazy. It's basically driving through the entirety of New York from the bottom to the very top, and you're through.
I did not know you can get that far.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
always thought you had to fly in there, or there was a boat or something that would take you across on the water.
No, there's a good amount of crossings, like especially in New York. I mean, the biggest crossing is probably at Niagara Falls. You can easily cross from, Canada to United States or vice versa. That's the way that you would go if you were driving to Toronto, but driving to Ottawa, which is a little bit further east from where I live in Philadelphia, Ottawa is like straight north. Like it's just like driving straight north. In fact, Labrador City is actually an hour behind us. So right now it's 6:30 here. Labrador City is actually 7:30, which I always thought that we were the latest time zone in like North America, but there's actually people that are an hour behind us too. So it's funny.
Well, actually, when you talk about time zone, well, you have what is it? Our time zone goes across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had in the middle of the country, it's like an hour difference.
Yep.
Hour behind. By the time you get all the way out to California, it's 3 hours.
Yep. But then from here, because I'm going up and then I'm going like northeast, I'm actually going north and then I'm going further east as well. And that is where I'm going to encounter flipping back or flipping forwards or whatever. I'm going to flip over to that other time zone, which is crazy.
Ooh. So yeah, I mean, that's what's going on there, and we're going to Canada. But the drone community, I wish it the best.
Yeah, me too. Look, I mean,
I hope guys can ride the wave of all these, because we're getting ready to go with remote ID.
Yeah,
about whether or not guys are going to comply, whether the guys are not going to comply.
I hope that whatever ends up happening with remote ID, it's for the better. I hope that they make sure that it's properly integrated, that it's not a fee. You don't have to pay money. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they need to make sure that it's done right.
You know what I'm afraid of with that, and you're talking about not so much with remote ID, because I don't worry about that with remote ID. The only thing is, because I've noticed already on my drone that once I lose the Wi-Fi connection, the internet connection, I get on the screen what do you call GPS, not GPS, but
remote ID error.
Remote ID error.
Yep.
On the screen comes up.
Yeah, and I mean, the newest update for the Avata makes you plug it into your phone before you fly, which is a huge pain. I mean, the only reason I'd plug it into my phone is if I needed to update the firmware or if I had somebody flying along with me, but I don't do that regularly. I haven't updated my Avata. It's still on the old firmware that doesn't require me to do that.
I think it's for the remote ID.
Exactly. Yep.
The only thing that I do worry about, and like I said, we talk about everything here, and I know that remote ID, and I've seen the things that guys have been talking about and creating these UTMs, for this advanced air mobility, and to be able to move cargo and stuff throughout, deliveries. And I'm not the one that believes that Sal's Pizzeria or the local Chinese restaurant is going to be delivering anything via drone, but somebody wants to use it. And I heard all of the talk about creating these things, and now with the FCC, with their proposal for rulemaking for drones for the 5 gigahertz band, and improving and getting licensed spectrum, for improving the signals and having different tier levels for drones operating.
It makes it so confusing.
Yeah, I'm just like, I wonder if that's where the charge starts to come in.
Yeah, because I mean, look, there's got to be some sort of infrastructure in place, and who's going to pay for it? It's going to be the people using it. It's going to be us, right?
And I hope it doesn't come to that, because the small guy operating like yourself would have to pay a fee for flight operations.
Exactly.
Imagine that. That
It would just be annoying.
Yeah, it would be, but it'd be an expense that would be, how would they roll that out? And, well, I'm not, you know what? Let's not even talk about it because we won't wish for it and it won't happen.
I know, right? Yeah, don't give them any ideas. Shh,
Yeah, because
stop.
well, I didn't start the talk. I mean, I've seen Bruce X-Jet talks about it all the time.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be like growing pains. Like I think that's kind of what the drone industry is going to face, even on the commercial side. I mean, look at Amazon laying off 80% of their workforce in their drone delivery department. It's going to
Well,
be a lot of growing pains.
I think Amazon got to a point where they got beyond their learning curve with that.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like I said, it can't be that large at the way that they're actually rolling it out, and it's still in trial. So I think they've gone that learning curve. I think Amazon made a lot of money during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And now that people are back to work and not shopping as much as they probably were back then, and even at Christmas time, I think that now they're trying to reassign people and move a few people that they don't need out, but they're moving out even executives.
Yep. Yeah. There's layoffs across the board, really. I mean,
Yeah,
across
everywhere.
a lot of industries.
So because even Ford
Yep.
talked about it, a few companies, H&M.
Yeah, it's a lot of tech companies too. I mean, Google, I don't know if you heard about the Google employees, but they were like
Mhm.
showing up. They were showing up to work. And
Yeah.
if your badge was green when you scanned it, you're good. If it was red, you're laid off.
Wow.
Yep.
No, was it Elon he was cutting the fat over there too.
Yeah, and Twitter. Well, I mean, I think that they were way overstaffed for especially what Twitter is.
Yeah, I mean, what does everyone do at,
Yeah.
at those places?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I was always that everyone's like one giant advertisement market. They they're in charge of advertising accounts.
Yep. Could be advertising, coding. I got no idea.
Possible. So what else is going on with you, man? I'm,
Not too much, dude. Just trying to grow the business. keep
yeah,
keep getting more clients,
all right. So yeah, I mean that's what I had for you for the night. I just really wanted to get deeper into, like, as I said to you, I
Yeah, you
like
messaged me.
where you went with that video, and I was like, I gotta get you on to talk about that, because I talk about so much here, and it's like there's really hardly ever anything happening with the consumer drones. I said once they're out, they're getting little firmware updates. We talked
Yep.
about that and what it did for the features.
Hmm.
But everything has been in the last 6 years now has been more towards the commercialization of it.
Yeah, and these companies, they probably see that they can make more money there. Like you look at Parrot, and Parrot doesn't make any consumer drones anymore. They just make commercial drones. They're Parrot Anafi AI and the Anafi 4G and whatever they have.
Well, that's what we were saying, that a lot of the other consumer drone companies, they've all gone to the Blue UAS and
Yep.
to other, other enterprise versions of drones. Like, we've seen stuff come out like what was that? The new what is that? The BB something like that, and the
BVLOS.
no, they have another drone. They have a couple of them that look sort of like a bow tie, and then a lot of them are used for like mapping and stuff like that. And then
Interesting.
what was it? The guys from was that Brink?
Yeah, Brink.
Yeah, they came out with something, and they even have a ball.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the Brink
drone.
ball.
Yeah. What is it called?
The Brink ball.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, like if somebody is trapped or they have like a hostage situation, they could just throw the ball in there and they could talk to you.
Yep.
That's strange.
They're kind of trying to they're trying to offer more than drones, it seems.
Yeah, it was a couple of them. I think they even donated some stuff to Ukraine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a lot of people getting involved in that, and DJI was the one that took the slap for
Yep.
everything
Look,
going on in Ukraine.
they're the scapegoat, man. They're gonna take all the blame.
I'm like, wow, it's funny. Somebody dropped something on the floor. DJI did it.
Yep. Well, look, Herman, I gotta run.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man. Great chatting with you. I'm happy that we could have this conversation because my video is more of like a rant. So it's nice to be able to have a conversation with somebody about it.
That's good. I mean, I didn't see it as a rant. I just thought it was good. It sparked interest because I talk here all the time and I say, it's not every day that a new drone is coming out. So
Mhm.
and
Yeah, we'll
like
see.
we'll see what down.
We'll see what 2023 has to offer. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to come out with as many drones as they did last year. I mean, who knows if the market will be able to support it because all their drones are so good. Like there's no drone that, Autel makes that right now is better than the Mavic 3. I think the Mavic 3 crushes the Autel Evo 2. So like, what's their incentive to come out with the Mavic 4,
True. And the price point is pretty good too.
Yeah. I mean, come on, you can get the Mavic 3 Classic for $1,600. It's great.
Mhm. Well, Billy, thanks for coming and hanging out with me.
Yes.
I got
Thank
to
you for having me
catch up
on.
with you and getting down to Philly, or you come out
Yeah.
here. Whatever.
Look, whenever you and Lawrence are free, if you want to bring a whole group down, maybe we can schedule something for the springtime or the summertime once it warms up.
Okay, no problem. I'll hit you.
Alrighty.
I'll stay in touch.
Later, dude.
See you later.
See you guys.
Thank you. So yeah, guys, that was Billy Kyle. Came to hang out with me. Lawrence won't be here, so I guess we got a few minutes left of the stream. And earlier we were talking about how Skybrowse had a new software for situational awareness where they can use 3D models to see their tactical teams in real time on a 3D model from I guess their command center. But like I said before, we all talk about a lot of stuff here on Wednesday night with those guys from everything that's going on in the drone world. And was it Flytrex has announced that their delivery partner, Cowsey Air Aviation Unmanned, has been granted their Part 135 certification. Now that's a certification that the FAA grants to air carriers to be able to deliver merchandise, and they've somehow made some flexible ways to spill over to the drone industry to allow drones to operate under Part 135 with some exemptions. So I guess that's why they don't. One of them, I guess, they don't have to have seat belts because a drone can't have seat belts because it's unmanned. But that was the only other thing we had for the night. So, hey, Big Matt, what's good, man? Okay. Yeah, I'm here by myself. You want to come on, Matt? But I'm not going to be on here much longer because, like I said, we don't have any more stuff for the show tonight. That we just had Billy on just to talk to him about really where the drone community was going. I just find that I think that the drones will slow down and you'll start to see them achieve their shelf life, because some of the stuff that we have right now is really nothing more than what you need. I mean, maybe we will see an Air 3. I don't think so. I don't see the need for it. The Air 2S is just fine. And then from there, you got the price of going into the price point of the Maverick 3. So I don't really see the need for it. You know, a lot of the drones that they got right now, let's enjoy what we got right now and learn to use the tech that we got. I mean, I guess like Billy was saying, the nerd in him wants to see new stuff come out, but for right now in the community, as far as the hobbyist is concerned, maybe you'll see a new the new Pocket 3, but I don't think you'll see too much of it. So you'll probably see a little bit more of other products come out for DJI and upgrades to some of the stuff that we got now. But and then maybe some other drones might get cannibalized in the whole process, because I think that by now the end of the support for the bottom tier of the Phantom series is just about done after last year. So I don't think you're going to see any more support for anything else in that realm. But with that, you know, I guess we got about 15 minutes left of the stream. And I guess there'll be some other streams on. I know that later on tonight, Dobo and Eddie will be on. You guys can check that out. I think they come on, what is it, 9 o'clock. After this, you got the Fly for Fun show coming on. And then you got Bill at Coast to Coast. I see Barkley still here. What's good, Barkley? You and Ken doing your thing. What's up, Billy? Dan is in the chat. What's up, Dan? What you fix it, all right? Okay. Yo, Big Matt, we got to get together, man. One of the other things I was going to mention, I know if anybody is into, well, here listening, is works in public safety, drone responders and Drone Life, they announced that they're going to have a weekly webcast in public safety. That's supposed to start on the 7th of, I believe, this month. Yeah. February 7th. No, in February 7th. Yeah, this month. I'm saying, yeah, this month. We just started. New month. February 7th is, they're going to do it on every week, I guess, from every Tuesday thereafter. So if you're interested in working as a first responder, you can go on over and check that out. You can check them out with drone responders, or you can go to dronelife.com and find out more about it. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to cut out a little early. Make room for everybody else to come on. I don't need any more time on here. So I will see you guys later. And I thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. Without you, none of this would be possible. We appreciate you all for coming. And I'll see you guys next time. And don't forget, Wednesday Night with Those Guys is sponsored by Those Guys. Good night, everyone.